And we are back. Welcome back to the Premier League prediction series at a slightly later time today because I've been busy doing all of my Christmas work and have been up since 5 a.m. So as always, thank you very much for hanging out and thank you very much for your patience and thank you for 7,000 subscribers which we managed to hit this week over the course of our Carabao Cup and Europa Conference League videos. So again, thank you for all the amazing support we have had on this channel over the last couple of months in particularly. It is now time for Game Week 17, the final game week before Christmas in the Premier League, and we've got 10 more matches to discuss today. So if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video if you do enjoy all of my prediction series, and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here so you don't miss out on any of the predictions we have got coming up for you over the course of the Christmas and New Year period. And without any further ado, let's skip ahead to the prediction screen where you will see that after last week's absolute abysmal performance on the Premier League predictions, where we only got 3 out of 10, our worst performance of the season so far, our Premier League record has now just ever so slightly dipped under 50%, which is really, really annoying. But it is what it is. What was saving it, though, was those performances in the League Cup and in the Conference League, where we were able to do pretty damn well in those. So our season results are now at 413 out of 721. And we also got 2 correct scores in the Europa Conference League last night. Both draws as well. So I'm always happy when I get a draw correct, especially when I get it spot on. So that brings us up to 45. But without any further ado, we have got 10 more Premier League fixtures to discuss for you today. And with the little bit of extra time that I've had to prepare for this one, a couple of little bits of extra news have come in regards to both Manchester City and Southampton. So hopefully this will provide you even more info than we normally do. But let's get things started now with the opening game of the weekend. It is Aston Villa against Manchester City in tomorrow's early kickoff. It is 7th versus 5th. There are just 2 points between them, and both of these sides were on the receiving ends of defeats last week. For Villa, it wasn't so bad, losing to Nottingham Forest away from home, albeit a very, very late winner from Nottingham Forest. Although, to be fair, both of these sides lost these matches the same way, leading for ages, and then both teams conceding just before and just after the 90-minute mark to lose 2-1. That was Villa's first defeat after 3 wins in a row. For City, it was their 8th defeat in their last 11, and they come into this game with the extra news coming out this afternoon or this morning around lunchtime that Ruben Diaz is now injured for Manchester City as well. So arguably their organiser, their leader at the back, is now going to be missing for them, in addition to all of their other problems they've got going on at the moment. Yes, John Stones is expected to be back. Yes, Manuel Akanji is expected to be back. And Mateo Kovacic could return to midfield. But the loss of Ruben Diaz in the defence, and with how well Villa have played at home over the last few weeks, I'm going to have to go for Aston Villa again here. It's an early kickoff as well. City aren't going to want that. So I'm going for 2-1 to Aston Villa. Could definitely see this one going either way. Villa got the victory 1-0 last season as well in this fixture. So there's a lot of pedigree to go for Villa on this one. I'm going for a 2-1 victory to the home side. Speaking of home sides, the first of the 3 o'clock kickoffs sees the best home side in the land, and that is Brentford taking on the team currently 3rd place in the away team's record and 4th place overall in the Premier League, occupying a Champions League place. And that is Nottingham Forest off the back of their victory over Aston Villa last week. Coming into this, Brentford have got to face a late fitness test over Ethan Pinnock, their centre-back, who did go off in their League Cup defeat in midweek. For Forest, they have no fresh injury concerns coming into this one. And look, it's a game at the G-Tech. You know there's going to be goals. There's been goals in every single game with Brentford at home this season. But Brentford normally come out on top. It was a 3-2 victory for the Bees last year. I'm going for a 3-2 victory for the Bees once again. The second 3 o'clock kickoff sees Ipswich Town taking on Newcastle. Both sides coming into this off the back of wins. Ipswich, of course, getting that late winner away at Wolves. A winner that did cost Gary O'Neill his job. More on Wolves later on. And Newcastle coming into this after hammering Leicester in the Premier League last week and then putting in a really impressive League Cup display against Brentford in midweek as well, with Sandro Tonali scoring 2 fantastic goals. In terms of injuries, there's not really too much to discuss about these two sides, but both will be missing key players through suspension. Ipswich will be without top scorer Liam Delap, whereas Newcastle will be without their Brazilian midfielder Joel Linton. So, little bit of iffy on this. For me, I just think with Ipswich losing the lap, I really struggle to see how they're going to score goals in this match. And Newcastle have been very impressive over the last few weeks. So I'm going to go for Newcastle. I'm going to go for 2-0. If you want some sort of head-to-head record between them, these two sides last met in 2017 with the home side winning on both occasions. The only player that is available in either of these sides' squads from that time is Jamal Lascelles for Newcastle. So it's not really much to go on. But, you know, just thought I'd mention it because that was the last time these two sides met. That then takes us to West Ham taking on Brighton. West Ham back to weekend football after two very good results in back-to-back Monday night footballs, a win at home and a draw away at Bournemouth. For Brighton, it is no win in their last four, and there are big question marks over the fitness of Danny Welbeck, who has been so impressive for them this season. It's not really worked with just João Pedro up front or trying to get Evan Ferguson and Pedro to work together. It's just not really gelled so well up front for Brighton without Welbeck to sort of be that one to knit it all together. And this is a tough place to go. Lopetegui has been under pressure, but over these last couple of weeks, the West Ham players seem to have responded for their boss. And you know what? I'm expecting them to get the result here. It was 0-0 at West Ham, but West Ham won away at Brighton last season. So with all of those things considered, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to West Ham. I still think it'll be tight. I think if Brighton can get it going, on paper they're probably still slightly the better side. But I just think West Ham have been good over the last couple of weeks. Soler is also suspended for them, but I expect them to get the result at home. That then takes us to the final game on Saturday, the later kickoff. It is Crystal Palace taking on Arsenal. And there isn't really too much to say about these two sides other than that they met literally a couple of days ago in the League Cup. Okay, Arsenal rested a few of their first team players. Okay, Crystal Palace took off their regular first team players in the second half. But for the most part, I think on the balance of the 90 minutes, Crystal Palace were much the better team in the first half. Arsenal were much the better team in the second half. So there wasn't too much to choose between the two sides. I think the introduction of Saliba at half-time to reunite Saliba and Gabriel, moving Timber to right back, made a difference. I think Saka made a difference. But obviously the star man of the night was Gabriel Jesus with a hat-trick. And the question has to be asked, does Gabriel Jesus start in this game against Crystal Palace now? Surely you can't drop him after scoring a hat-trick against their opponent on Saturday. But we'll see. For Crystal Palace, they're going to be without Munoz. He is suspended for 5 yellow cards, which is bizarre because players that get sent off miss the League Cup game, but players that accumulate 5 yellow cards in the Premier League miss the next Premier League game. So I don't really understand how that happens. But Munoz is suspended. Both sides come into this unbeaten in their last 5 Premier League games. But I just think Arsenal will come into this with a little bit more momentum after the Cup win, and with more regular first-team players coming into the starting lineup. I'm going for 3-1 to Arsenal. On to Sunday then, and we start with 4 early kickoffs on Sunday, and the first of those sees Everton taking on Chelsea. Everton, of course, are going to be full of confidence following their 0-0 draw at Arsenal, but it is that lack of goals that concerns me coming into this fixture. Chelsea, on the other hand, have won their last 8 games in a row and have the best away record in the Premier League so far this season. So it's going to be a real tough job for me to see Everton getting anything from this game. Like I said, I struggle to see where they're going to get goals in this match. I think Chelsea are obviously going to score goals like they always do. But we expected Arsenal to score against Everton last week and they didn't. So if they can produce another defensive performance, maybe they can get a result. Coming into this, Cucurella is suspended for Chelsea and they are going to be missing Romeo Lavia through injury. Everton have no fresh injury concerns coming into this. It is finally worth noting that at Goodison Park last year, Everton did get the result, but then Chelsea came back and beat them 6-0 in the league later on in the season. So I just think, with the way these two sides are playing at the moment, Chelsea must be considered the favourites. So I'm going for 2-0, with me not struggling to see how Everton are going to score. But we'll see. Everton are always capable of producing a result, especially at home. But I am going for Chelsea. Next up, it is Fulham taking on Southampton. And like I said, one of the benefits of recording this video a little bit later than usual is we got the announcement at lunchtime that Southampton have found their new manager. And it's going to be Ivan Juric, the manager who they tried to appoint in 2022 before Nathan Jones eventually took over. Well, they've got their man this time around, and it's a tough ask for him, going away to a Fulham side that in the last week have drawn with Arsenal and drawn with Liverpool. Of course, Southampton did put up a good performance against Liverpool in the League Cup in midweek, but ultimately they succumbed to defeat, and if we're being honest, it was against Liverpool's reserves, whereas Fulham went to Anfield against Liverpool's first team and got the draw. So with the way Fulham have played over the last few weeks, with the way Southampton have played, even with that new manager pomp, I've got to expect Fulham to get the result here. Final bits to note is that both players have players suspended, or both teams, should I say, have players suspended for this one. Andreas Pereira will miss for Fulham, and Jack Stephens will continue to miss out following that hair pull on Cucurella. For me, though, I'm going for a 3-1 victory to Fulham. And again, one final note on this one. Fulham have actually scored and conceded in every single home game so far this season. So for those of you who like to do things like that, just bear that one in mind. That then takes us to Leicester and Wolves. For Leicester, new boss Ruud van Nistelrooy got a sort of snap back to reality following that humiliating 4-0 defeat to Newcastle. And if we're being honest, it probably could have been about 10 if Newcastle had their real shooting boots on. Isak missed a few, Jacob Murphy missed a few, and I can think of a few other chances where on another day Leicester could have come home with an absolute hammering. The good news for them is that their goalkeeper Hermansen is going to be fit and available for this one. I think Danny Ward really suffered in that second half against Newcastle, and I think with Hermansen back in goal that could make a difference. But we spoke about the effect of Ndidi not being available last week. That came to fruition against Newcastle, and Ndidi is still going to be unavailable for this one. For Wolves, they have got new man Vitor Pereira in charge of them, but he is going to be facing some serious issues already because Aït-Nouri is going to be suspended. And as things stand, Matheus Cunha has been charged, but at the moment there is it's unclear whether or not he's going to receive any actual punishment after being charged. It's not been confirmed if he's been banned yet, but we shall see. Not only that, he's got to fix an absolutely broken dressing room that is literally getting him punch-ups at full time every single week, and is conceding late goals, and are conceding from set pieces. But they are still scoring goals. And I think with the talent they've got available to them, especially if Cunha's available for this match as well, I can still see Wolves getting a result here, especially with that new manager pomp as well. I'm not confident enough to give Leicester the win. As much as I love Ruud van Nistelrooy, I am going for a 2-2 draw in this one. And speaking of Ruud van Nistelrooy, the club that he managed just a month ago, Manchester United go into this against Bournemouth. And this is a stat now that will prove to you how tight this Premier League table is at the moment. Manchester United currently sit 13th in the Premier League table. Bournemouth are 6th. If Manchester United win this game, they go above Bournemouth. That is how close this Premier League table is at the moment. United, of course, come into this off the back of mixed results over the course of the last week, getting that late away win to Manchester City, but then losing in slightly controversial circumstances. But to be honest, probably being the better team on the balance of the game against Spurs 4-3 yesterday. You can check out my post-match reaction to that on the channel. It was posted yesterday. For Bournemouth, they, of course, drew with West Ham at home last week, but they are 4 games unbeaten after 3 wins going in to that West Ham game. They have now lost Marcus Tavernier through injury, who is a big loss to them. But it's worth noting that Bournemouth won 3-0 at Old Trafford last season. It was one of the most embarrassing performances of the season for Manchester United. And they've got to be on their A game if they're going to get a result here, because Bournemouth are playing some very good football at the moment. That said, I think week on week, United are getting better under Ruben Amorim. He did rest players for the Tottenham game, albeit some of them did come on in that second half. But I would expect the full first team ready and raring to go for this one. And as a United fan, I'm expecting them to get the win. So with my bias hat on, I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Manchester United. And then we have the main event. The final game of the weekend sees Tottenham taking on Liverpool. And all I'm going to do is read out these teams' last 3 domestic results. Spurs lost 4-3, won 5-0, won 4-3. Liverpool drew 3-3, drew 2-2, and then won 2-1 in the Cup. Okay, that was their reserve team against Southampton. But if you take those last two Premier League fixtures, 3-3 draw, 2-2 draw. And for Spurs, 4-3 to Chelsea, 4-3 to Man United, and a 5-0 against Southampton as well. Honestly, anything could happen in this game. Absolutely anything. With Tottenham, you just don't know. Their defence is absolutely decimated. You all saw what happened with Fraser Forster last night. They're playing kids that are supposed to be midfielders at centre-back in the likes of Archie Gray. But their attacking players are all fit and available, and they're all playing really well. Maddison's playing well, Son's playing well, Solanke's playing well, Kulusevski's playing well, and their midfield's doing all right. For Liverpool, obviously, Jota is now back and playing again. Chiesa got some minutes the other night. And Liverpool are still top of the Premier League table and still have a game in hand. But honestly, again, this scoreline could be absolutely anything. Over the last couple of weeks, both defences have looked dodgy as anything. And I'm just going to go for a 3-3 draw. I just am, because I can't call it. I really can't. All I can do in this one is just say, here's all the information. Bentancur's still suspended for Spurs. That's about your lot. I honestly think anything could happen in this game. I could see Spurs winning this. I could see Liverpool winning it comfortably. I could see it being a goalless draw. I can't see it being a goalless draw. I'd be stunned if it was a goalless draw. That's why I've gone for a high-scoring one. But as always, let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching as always. Thank you so much for 7,000 subscribers. I'll be back with my post-match reaction to the Manchester United Bournemouth game on Sunday. Hopefully, it won't be a repeat of the reaction video we had last season. And then, of course, Premier League predictions will be back on Monday for the Boxing Day fixtures. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you there.